War with Iran would be a terrible idea.
This is so bonkers.
This thing has not been thought through.
The American people have been brainwashed.
Another civil war has erupted in Donald Trump's completely dysfunctional White House. And this time, it is not Elon Musk, it is Tulsi Gabbard, who is directly contradicting Donald Trump as his White House is on the verge of complete collapse with war on the brink. It couldn't be a bigger disaster. And now Donald Trump is attacking one of his own cabinet secretaries. We are going to get into why and how much Trump is losing it and whether this means the end of Tulsi Gabbard as the director of national intelligence. But first, we have to start with a different controversy by Tulsi that kind of started this all out, and that was broken down by Senator John Ossoff right here.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
You've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having it.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has sided against Donald Trump as the MAGA Civil War is heating up. Now, this all started over Tucker Carlson, who called out Donald Trump saying he was complicit in the Iran-Israeli conflict and saying that U.S. involvement in the war was not part of the MAGA agenda or putting America first. Well, Donald Trump was asked if he had any comments about it, and he had this to say.
I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying. Let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen.
Yeah, just dismissed it and mocked him, and then later on in a post called him kooky. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene got involved, and she stood up for Tucker Carlson against Trump, saying that he's not kooky and that he is right that the U.S. getting involved is not America first. But the problem for Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump has no guiding principles. He has no moral compass, so what he says one day isn't going to be what he says the next. He doesn't care what you think. But one thing is for certain, the MAGA Civil War is slowly getting good.
The things I want to say right now would get me kicked off this platform. But MAGA, I need you back up in my comments because remember a couple months ago when we were showing support for Ukraine and you were saying, oh, Democrats are warmongers. Democrats just love war. Trump loves peace. Trump is creating peace. He just wants peace. You better get back in these comments and defend the fact that he's about to get us into a nuclear conflict. He's about to send us to war with Iran. Unless you are about to enlist to go fight in this war, or unless you are making sure your children, your young adult sons and daughters, unless you're about to send them off to war, you better get back in my comments and you better apologize for all of that. I can't say anything else or I'll go get kicked off this platform.
MAGA Civil War is heating up right now, folks, over Donald Trump's involvement in the Israel-Iran war. This all exploded today after Donald Trump attacked none other than Tucker Carlson. As we reported here the other day, Tucker Carlson in his newsletter blasted Trump as being complicit in Israel's attack on Iran. And Tucker warned that getting involved would be a middle finger in the faces of the millions of voters who cast their ballots for Trump. Well, Trump was not very happy about that, and today he was asked about that while he was at the G7, and he sarcastically said, I don't know what Tucker Carlson is saying, let him go get a television network and say it so that people listen. Trump then followed up in a social media app writing, somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And that's when the MAGA Civil War reached a whole nother level. Marjorie Taylor Greene rushed quickly to Twitter to defend Tucker Carlson against Trump's attacks, writing, Tucker Carlson is one of my favorite people. Since being fired by the neocon network Fox News, he has more popularity and viewers than ever before. He unapologetically believes the same things I do. She then pretty directly pushes back at Trump, writing, that's not kooky, that's what millions of Americans voted for. It's what we believe, America first. And she posted it along with this photo of them hanging out. Meanwhile, MAGA commentator Candace Owens weighed in, saying Donald Trump just completely fractured his base, and he did it for the very neocons who minted the Never Trump movement. Truly unbelievable. The Trump Rapid Response account known as the Trump War Room posted Donald Trump's message about Tucker Carlson and got a very rough response from Trump supporters. Trump's lost it. I thought Trump cared about relationships. Clearly something is wrong with him. This is a backstabbing move that would make Trump upset. You're going to throw away your entire presidency over a war with Iran? Nothing, Tucker said, is kooky. DNI Gabbard said that Iran is nowhere near making a nuclear weapon. Is she lying? Very disappointed. We don't want this. You officially lost me. I regret voting for you. Kamala would have stayed out of this. There goes what's left of his base. This is a betrayal of your voter base. Promises made, promises broken. Guess it's over. We had a good run and a chance to focus on America first, but the war Israel lobby is too powerful. Hopefully somebody in there can talk some sense. And I could show you hundreds, if not thousands of messages just like that from Trump supporters and from major people in Trump world. But I think you get the point.
This is some terrible news for Donald Trump. Some of his own fans are starting to turn on him as he embraces the idea of going to war with Iran. This guy said in a now viral tweet, "F it, if Trump takes us to war, I'm done with him and his administration. I voted for no wars, cheap gas, no taxes, cheap groceries, maha. What of these things have actually happened? I'm pissed." Newsflash, buddy, you got played. Safe to say that even some of Donald Trump's diehard supporters are not on board with what he's doing right now. And there are many more examples. I imagine that this is only going to get worse for Donald Trump.
Tell you, I am going to love this. And I'm talking here about the MAGA Civil War that's coming. In fact, it's already begun and has been ongoing in a limited way for a while now. And things yesterday really started to heat up. You had, if you missed this, you need to search up the video for this. But Tucker Carlson, I guess, was interviewing Ted Cruz, or he had Ted Cruz on as a guest on, I guess, his podcast. And he just humiliated Ted Cruz on the issue of Iran and other things. And it was awesome. Now, I am no fan of Tucker Carlson. Do not misunderstand me. But if one guy I hate is destroying and humiliating another guy I hate, I'm going to love that. And when somebody humiliates Tucker Carlson, I'll love that too. But we had that going on. We also have other cracks forming in this MAGA coalition. We had Tucker Carlson again on with Steve Bannon, and they were talking about Iran. And both of them are adamantly opposed to U.S. intervention. Man, I can't speak today. U.S. intervention in the Israeli-Iranian conflict. And, there's not a whole lot that binds the MAGA coalition together. And most of them believe in absolutely nothing. But there are certain segments of that coalition who, for some of them, there are motivating issues. And Tucker Carlson and Steve Bannon were on board with the America First, Fortress America, don't be involved in the rest of the world at all, don't be involved in Ukraine, don't be involved in the Middle East. Maybe they would support intervening if the U.S. was going to do so on the side of Russia. Maybe they would support joining Russia in some military conflict. I don't know. But they don't want any U.S. military involvement anywhere. And so they are both pissed about what Trump has been saying about getting involved in Iran. Tucker has been a little bit more outspoken about this. There's video of him saying that this could effectively end the Trump presidency. Bannon, at least from what I have seen, hasn't gone quite that far yet, but he said that it would be a betrayal of MAGA if Trump were to get involved. Now that's big time for Steve Bannon to talk about Donald Trump betraying MAGA. Them's fighting words. So, and remember, Steve Bannon couldn't, he's one of these guys who could not possibly have his head any further up Donald Trump's ass than he has up to this point. I mean, he's one of these guys who's out there pushing.
Donald Trump is teasing out a decision on whether he wants to join in with Israel on attacking Iran, go after maybe the nuclear sites, or maybe even take out the Ayatollah. He is saying, he's not sure yet. But the decision about whether to get involved in Iran is wrenching open Donald Trump's coalition, with a lot of folks saying, yes, do it now, and other big name MAGA acolytes saying absolutely not. Case in point, this conversation / fight that Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz got into.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
how could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
He did, and that was just a portion of it. Donald Trump has gone after Tucker Carlson for saying he doesn't support any intervention in Iran and criticizing Donald Trump for considering it. But today, Donald Trump claimed that Tucker Carlson called him to apologize.
Tucker's a nice guy. He called and apologized the other day because he thought he said things that were a little bit too strong, and I appreciated that.
You know, the truth comes from very, very strange places. And it seems like Senator Ted Cruz knows what happened to Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania last year. And like I've always thought and known, the Democrats had nothing to do with it.
Military. By the way, this is a sidebar, but I just can't resist. The Prime Minister of Israel said that Iran tried to assassinate Donald Trump twice.
Yeah, I read your newsletter this morning, and
but do you believe that's true?
I think it was sort of a word game. What is true is Iran is trying to assassinate Donald J. Trump, and they have hired hitmen. Now, you pointed out...
No, he said that they have tried twice to kill him, and I don't know that... I don't have any evidence that's true, but I sort of wonder if that is true. Why aren't we at war with them already?
Yeah. Okay. And I read your newsletter this morning, and I thought it was playing word games to draw a political point.
How's that a word game? It's my president. And
can I tell you?
Yeah, please.
Okay. You rightly pointed out there's no evidence that this clown in Butler, Pennsylvania, who shot the president was working for the Iranians. I don't think he was. There's no evidence of that. Although I would like to know more about who he was and what's going on. But I don't find it plausible that he was working for the Iranians. So... was that caused by the Iranians? No. But what is true, and what your newsletter didn't acknowledge, is it true or false that Iran is currently trying to murder Donald J. Trump and has paid hitmen to do so?
Well, that's the question, and I don't know. The Butler, Pennsylvania thing.
Pennsylvania
let's just put that aside. I don't know.
So Netanyahu misspoke when he said those two assassinations were because of Iran. But what he was saying that is right is they're actively trying to murder Donald J. Trump.
Is there... Okay, so you're aware of a plot to kill Trump?
Yes, that Iran is paying for. And by the way...
Wait, when?
It has been over the last, I'd say, 18 months to 2 years.
In the United States?
In the United States, yes. And let me point out...
Has anyone been arrested?
For the Trump attempted assassination, no. But they are also actively paying Iranian hitmen to murder Mike Pompeo when he was President Trump's first Secretary of State, the first term, rather. John Bolton, when John Bolton was National Security Advisor to President Trump, and a guy named Brian Hook, who was Assistant Secretary of State.
Right.
During the Biden administration...
Wait, hold on. Can we go back to Donald Trump because he's the president? No, it's a big deal. What do you mean?
Go back to Trump.
No one has been arrested for these assassination attempts on Trump.
Yes.
They've hired hitmen. How do we know that?
All right, let me break it down. People have been arrested. So the reason I brought up Pompeo, Bolton, and Hook, who are under active assassination attempts because of their service in the first Trump administration, under the Biden...
Well, they say that. I've never seen any evidence of it.
Can I give you the evidence?
Well, let's just stick with Trump.
No, because these are interrelated. So let me make a bloody point. Wow. Under the Biden administration, the State Department was spending $2 million a month providing security for Pompeo, Bolton, and Hook. And they did arrest Iranian hitmen at John Bolton's apartment complex who rented, I think, the apartment next to him and were actively trying to assassinate him, and they went and arrested them. So, yes, they caught Iranian hitmen. Now, it so happens Iran's not very good at it. And so they are actively trying. And in fact,
but what about Trump? He's the president. If there's a plot to kill Trump by the Iranians,
okay, so you dispute that the Iranians are trying to kill Trump?
Of course. I mean, that's the most important question. The Prime Minister of Israel just said there have been 2 assassination attempts against Donald Trump by the Iranians. And I think it's a very fair question, maybe you disagree, to ask, what are you talking about?
Okay. And I agree with you that he misspoke.
So there weren't those 2 attempts?
There were 2 attempts, but the clown in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the other guy on the golf course were not connected to the Iranians. That's the part that he misspoke. But by the way, when you speak all the time, occasionally, what he said that was accurate is that Iran is actively trying to murder Donald J. Trump and has paid hitmen.
Okay, that's fine.
And he was conflating it with the 2 attempts.
I understand. But I just want to pull that thread because it's so important. I voted for Donald Trump. I campaigned for Donald Trump. Yeah. He's our president. And we're on the cusp of a war. So if there's evidence that Iran paid hitmen to kill Donald Trump and is currently doing that,
right?
Where's that? Like, what are you even talking? I've never heard that before.
Okay.
Where's the evidence? Who are these people? Why haven't they been arrested? Why are we not at war with Iran?
That's a great question to ask.
How do you know that that's true?
We know that it's true because we have been told that by the military and our intelligence community for the last 2 years.
We meaning who?
Congress has and the public. I mean, we had multiple testimonies. I can send you testimony.
Do we know the names of the people or where this happened or what they tried to do to kill Trump?
We do not. We have not apprehended an Iranian hitman trying to kill him. We know that Iran is trying to do so.
In the United States?
Yes. And by the way, like Iran...
This just seems like a huge headline, and you're acting like everyone knows this. I didn't know that.
Iran put out a whole video about murdering Trump.
Right, but I've never heard evidence that there are hitmen in the United States. I mean, trying to kill Trump right now, we should have a nationwide dragnet on this, and we should attack Iran immediately if that's true. Don't you think?
No.
If they're trying to assassinate our president?
They have been for 2 years.
Then why are we at war with them?
We are trying to...
Why don't we just nuke Tehran if they're trying to murder our president? There's nothing that you could do that would be worse for the United States than murdering Trump. And I just don't understand why you're not calling for the use of nuclear weapons against the Ayatollah right now. I'm serious. If you really believe they're trying to murder...
The use of nuclear weapons... See,
whatever
that's part of the problem of...
So what do you mean? You don't seem to take the allegation seriously. I do. If you believe they're trying to murder Trump, we need to stop what we're doing and punish them.
Can I ask something? And I mean this sincerely. So, all right. 20 years ago, you were, I think it's fair to say, in the interventionist world. You were a vocal defender.
Not one time did Ted Cruz bring up the Democrats and the rhetoric of the left. Not one time did he do that. So for all of you Trump supporters out there that love to cry about how terrible Democrats are, what do you have to say now? Just listen to Ted Cruz spill the beans.
This is one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had. I'm saying if it's true that Iran is trying to murder Trump, we need to move militarily against Iran immediately. That's not isolationism. That's that's a call to violence, which I am calling for. If we believe that Iran is trying to murder our president, we need to strike Iran.
Okay, but isolationists say things like, well, then just nuke them, which is what you just said, which is kind of a weird...
Because I'm upset, because I'm taking you seriously. You don't take your own statements seriously.
I take my statements very seriously.
So I've asked you, where's the evidence this is true? And you said, well, they're trying to assassinate Brian Hook or something, which I'm against, by the way. I'm against hurting any American, period, no matter...
So you dispute that they're trying to murder...
I'm not disputing it at all.
And Bolton?
I'm not disputing it at all.
They literally arrested the hitman with Bolton.
I don't know why that's even relevant. I'm asking about the President of the United States.
Wait, it's not relevant that Iran hired hitmen to murder cabinet members in Trump's administration? That doesn't go to
I've
how
already
credible
said
is it that they're willing to spend money to do that?
Opposed to that. It's awful. I am against killing anybody, actually, and especially foreign government. Okay. I'm asking about your allegation and the Prime Minister of Israel's allegation that is
let me be
that
clear,
Iran
I'm
is trying to
emphatically
murder
for killing
the
our
president.
enemies. Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect America, and so killing Osama bin Laden was a fantastic
But you don't
day
really
for the
believe
world.
that they're trying to murder Trump, or you
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Then why aren't you calling for military action against Tehran right now?
Because they're not very effective. In terms of hitmen, their hitmen are not very effective. I do think...
So they're hitmen, but not the bad kind, the efficient kind?
No,
what are you saying?
They're a weak country who is on its knees, and I think we need to...
Then why are we so afraid of them? Why are they the biggest threat if they're a weak country that's on its knees?
Because they're trying...
I'm trying to keep track.
They're trying to develop... Be a little less snarky.
I know, you're right. That is a problem that I have. I'm sorry.
They're trying to develop nuclear weapons. They are close to developing nuclear weapons. And even a weak country with a nuclear weapon... Look...
Give it up, MAGA. The jig is truly up. Every single lie you Trump supporters have been repeating all over social media has been debunked, whether by the Democrats, independents, and now your own following. Wow, in record time. How do you feel? Honestly, running around here trying to accuse people of doing things they haven't done, only to have moments like this happen where you have to eat crow. We're almost 6 months in to the Trump administration, and things aren't looking good. It just shows you how incompetent Donald Trump and his administration really is.
We have some breaking news. It's just been confirmed that the shooter at Trump's rally in Pennsylvania was a registered Republican. So, of course, just moments ago, the FBI confirmed the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. However, a number of news agencies, including MSNBC, have confirmed that he's a registered Republican. Voter rolls are public, so people looked up his name, Thomas Matthew Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. The status is active, his date of birth, and the party is Republican. And it also seems like this individual's political views shifted over time because they made one singular donation to a more liberal PAC on January 20th, 2021, but then later registered as a Republican and voted in the 2022 midterms. So yeah, the shooter was a Republican. There were a lot of Trump supporters claiming today that the shooter was a crazy liberal or a crazy Democrat or something like that. But that's just not true. That's why it's always great to wait for official confirmation on these things from news agencies or federal investigators and things like that. That's just not true. That's why it's always great to wait for official confirmation on these.
There are a whole load of competing voices in President Trump's ear right now.
War with Iran would be a terrible idea.
This is so bonkers.
This thing has not been thought through.
The American people have been brainwashed.
So what's he going to do? He is certainly keeping the world guessing.
You don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
The ambiguity is intentional. It keeps Iran guessing, threaten annihilation, pull them to the negotiating table, or maybe to surrender.
They want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? They're totally defenseless.
But something else is going on here. Donald Trump is in a very tricky position. He is the no wars president, the peacemaker who won the election by promising fewer wars, not more.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker.
His base of support around the country are isolationists. They have no interest in foreign wars.
If what you want is American involvement in a war with Iran, which American troops and units would you like to see die first?
I guarantee.
Oh, a guarantee.
If Donald Trump launched a war in Iran, not only will I not support it, I will apologize for the rest of my life for voting for the guy.
And across social media and right-wing news channels, those views are echoed by influencers, politicians, and personalities.
The American people have been brainwashed into believing that America has to engage in these foreign wars in order for us to survive. And it's absolutely not true.
War with Iran would be a terrible idea. It would divide Trump's coalition and cost America our credibility and our treasure.
The question is it splitting the MAGA base? We'll have a look at this from two mega MAGA figures. Donald Trump's former strategist, Steve Bannon, and media personality Tucker Carlson.
This thing has not been thought through, right? It does not have the commitment of the American people. You have to bring the American people. The American people are not there to get into another war right now.
And why is the Congress not actively debating this? There's one person. Marjorie Taylor Greene is like the only... Oh, and now Levin says this morning she's not MAGA. Okay, all right now. Now we're really in the last scene of Animal Farm.
So what will Donald Trump do? Well, only he knows.
My supporters are America first. They make America great again. My supporters don't want to see Iran have a nuclear weapon.
He has been given the military options, and he is being told conflicting things by different people. He's in a bind.
Hey, clear some room when you're doom scrolling. I bring good news in bad times, and today I just have one thing to talk about, which is the MAGA Civil War, as they are starting to cannibalize themselves. If you have not already seen this clip from the explosive interview between Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz, you need to check it out. Watch this.
You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that...
We're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied, on behalf of Trump, that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
Israel.
High
stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Hey, I never thought I'd see the day where Tucker Carlson is holding Ted Cruz's feet to the fire, but here we are. Follow along for more good news and make sure you repost to spread the word.
Donald Trump's top spies have said that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, even though he claims that they are. The US president insisted Iran was very close to developing a nuclear arsenal, despite the fact that National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard told lawmakers earlier this year that this wasn't the case. She said Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program he suspended in 2003. Trump claims he doesn't care what she said, and that the country is building a bomb. Gabbard has since argued she and Trump are on the same page and that the media is misquoting her.
From Oval Office feuds to online blowups, the MAGA movement is tearing itself apart, and it's not just the left watching. Trump is sending mixed signals on Iran actions, prompting warnings from Steve Bannon that U.S. strikes could tear the country apart. Tucker Carlson has scolded Trump over Israel or Iran, calling some moves a sellout to globalist warhawks. Marjorie Taylor Greene is fanning flames, warning that intervention could fracture MAGA, calling it a civil war moment. Alex Jones has even launched a brutal critique of Trump, accusing him of abandoning. Tulsi Gabbard, now on Trump's orbit, is pushing the anti-war America First line, clashing with hawkish voices. Can Trump navigate this self-made minefield, or is the MAGA coalition cracking beyond repair? What we're seeing isn't just disagreement. It's a full-on MAGA civil war. From Bannon to Carlson, Greene to Gabbard, Trump's vision is being refought within his own movement. And with banners like America First clashing over foreign policy, this fight isn't just internal. It could reshape the GOP. If you watched and felt the chasm, hit like, subscribe, and drop your take in the comments. Do you think Trump can bring MAGA back together, or is the fracture permanent? Let's discuss it all here. Stay aware, stay questioning. This is the moment MAGA either rebuilds or implodes. Just a quick note, full credit goes to the original creators of these videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.